CoupleShift Café. Today, me, Fatima, and
Rami.
we are here with you to answer all your questions about your relationship. Welcome. We're glad to see you again. And we encourage you, please first put a heart if you can hear us clearly.
While you're here, just to remind those that have joined for the first time that this is your safe and intimate space to bring up your topics, get whatever is off your chest or on your mind out in the open, and we will answer your questions as honestly as we can.
Yeah, we have your comments right here in this computer in front of us. We promise to respond to all of them. And here I have your questions that you sent us before, and thanks for that as well. So we will answer them as well. But first, our priority is those who had your valuable time and join us today in the live stream. So we will first answer your questions. So feel comfortable, grab a tea or coffee or water, and grab your partner, which is more important, and join us today to spend some time together and talk about relationships. And all our answers are based on our true story, what we experienced in our life together and the life before together, as well as experience and some success cases from our clients.
Yeah, so there's no limitation to what topics you can share. So, as we said, whatever's really on your mind, it could be something bothering you, something from the past, or something you're currently facing with your partner. So, feel free to share. Give us again your feedback, please, through either comment or drop us an emoji, a heart, so that we know that you can hear us and that all is good on your side. So we've got a question from Imran Kauser. So the question is, we stopped having fun together, date nights feel forced, and we mostly just talk about the kids or bills. How do we get that spark back?
That's a very good question. And what's interesting that we also recently had a client, so it was one of the couples, the woman who came with the same complaint. And it started from like, oh, we're 20 years living together and I want the things to be the same as 20 years ago. And the main thing that this is a myth to believe that the things will be the same as 20 years ago.
It's usually the honeymoon period, right?
Yeah,
That
well,
people talk about at the beginning, I mean.
Exactly, but not only that, because in 20 years, could you say, Rami, that 20 years, how you were 20 years ago, you're the same now?
No, of course.
You're a completely different person, and I'm a completely different person. So the same conversation we had with this lady that it cannot be the same because you became different, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be good. It can be even better because you, during this time, you became friends. You know each other, you know each other's needs, you know each other like what you like, what you don't like, and it can be even better way to bring the spark back to your relationship. So what is here, yeah, that we experienced also in our relationship and our advice, and my advice, our advice to this lady was that to plan together. So make a plans, not like in her case it was interesting, was like she would had a high expectations. He had demanding job and wouldn't be able every day come home, that he like not his schedule was not so flexible, like 4 days in a week at home, 3 days away, etc. So her expectations are the days that they're at home, so they would spend time together. So then one day, so they have a kid, so her mom came to help with the kids, and she planned that they will spend time together, quality time, do that. And he told her in the evening that he's going to see his friends.
Yeah.
And she was very disappointed and very upset. And my question was to her that, did he know about these plans? And she said, no, but it's so obvious. We're at home and he should know about it. And I said, no, you cannot expect, the people are in a different stage of mind and different needs. You can't expect your husband to read your mind. These plans should be built and done together. So when you plan it together, when you put the plans together, when you have this excitement together, okay, today we have the date night, today we go to the movies, or we sit in the sofa and watch the Netflix, or we cook together, or there's so many things that you can together. So that's the first thing, that plan together, share what you want to do together.
Absolutely. And you're touching on something that I think many of us forget about, which is the setting of expectations and communicating that. We did a recent reel about it that you can see on our channel. That we often make assumptions from our own behavior that our partner will pick up a signal, react to that signal the way we would want them to react, right? So one thing we found, and certainly with this example as well as other coaching clients, is they'll do something, but they're doing it because they're wanting something as a reaction from their partner. And when they don't get it, they ultimately fall into disappointment. So the first thing we guide our clients on is actually look at what you're doing first to fulfill your own need. And again, it may sound selfish. We talked about this in the last live, that we're talking about being self-full doesn't mean you're being selfish. So it's really about, if, for example, you go to as a lady to the salon, you do your hair, you're feeling beautiful, radiant. Yes, there's an expectation suddenly that when you come home, your partner will see that, they'll react to you in a certain way. But let's say if your partner doesn't, then you will immediately put yourself into that negative mindset of, oh, well, I didn't get that a certain reaction I expected. And maybe your partner is dealing with a crisis at that moment. Maybe they're dealing with a major issue that they're not even seeing you and you're in front of them. So it's about, how do you then connect and bring what you did and look to stimulate the conversation that will ultimately end in the response you're wishing for. But again, it's just small steps, change your behavior, that will help in terms of getting the reaction that you want. But I think what you said is very important, that where a relationship starts is not necessarily where you can maintain it. We know the reality of, as I mentioned, the honeymoon period, and as best as you would want to maintain the excitement, the date nights, the curiosity, these are all key, and we do encourage maintaining all of those. But you can't expect that what you experience in the first weeks or months to be sustained in the same way when your relationship is integrated and you have family, you have commitments, life and the hectic element of life play in your relationship. So we look at it more of what you can do from an internal perspective to manage that, and not necessarily fall victim to to-do lists, and that you as a couple, all your discussions around that element, like the to-do list or certain tasks you have to get done, etc., that you push away the curiosity, you push away the excitement, the deeper conversations, the asking of key questions that help provoke reflection within your partnership.
When you were saying so, it made me to think that the spontaneous actions, spontaneous decisions to do something together. It was recently, I remember that it was my mom's 50th birthday, and what I'm talking about, 70.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish my mom would be so young. 70th birthday, and she lives in Baku, and we're here, and we didn't plan to go. And 2 days before her birthday, I just, felt that I really would love to be there for her. And I asked Rami, so Rami, I really want to go. What do you think? And he said, let's do that. I can come with you. And and I said that will be even bigger surprise for mom to see not only me but you. And at the same night, we booked the ticket. We got visa for Rami. We just packed till night, and literally 24 hours later, we went and made a big surprise, coming directly to the restaurant. So mama was like happy, hundreds of emotions. But this moment, not only making my mother happy, yeah, but this moment of Rami's support to me, how he supported me in this decision. He could say, "Yeah, Johan, you go." But he not only supported me that to go, but he also was with me. And this excitement that we felt both. Oh, we go, we're just doing that. We stayed one night in a hotel, not to go to mama that she wouldn't know we're there. Then we got the flowers and we went inside this restaurant with the flowers. This excitement at this moment brought us so much close, as if we were like in some honeymoon stage, right? That a couple of days were so
Yeah.
beautiful. But also, I want to tell you that it's not necessary to have some like a trips, etc. It's just one of the example, because also not expensive surprises can be. I remember that there was a Valentine Day. Remember? There was a when you cooked for me. So
Yes.
yeah, you want me to tell about the story? I really loved it.
So I'm not in big favor of Valentine's Day in the sense that I don't agree to the idea that there's a day just dedicated to highlight or showcase your love for your partner. I think that's something that should definitely occur more frequently than that one day. But the idea that you're kind of there's an expectation put on you, right? Which I personally I feel it's
I
commercially.
put this expectation. I need a
Yeah.
reason to get some attention and gifts.
Yeah, exactly. So, but knowing it's a day that Fatima values, what I and again, when I say commercially, you see the fact that restaurants usually take advantage. They charge crazy prices on their menus just because of the fact it's Valentine's Day. But what I also think is the idea of, instead of just going and sitting in a restaurant, which we sometimes do, but on Valentine's Day that year, it was a case, actually, you know what, I'm gonna cook for her, and I'm gonna cook something I haven't cooked before as a meal. It'll be the first time for me to make it, the first time for Fatima to taste it, but also the setting.
How it was presented, yeah. So it's not now. It's my part. So I'm going. He didn't say me anything. He just said that. Oh, can you bring something from our room? I'm going upstairs. Open the bedroom, and there is dark, and there's like a candles. You know, this electric candles, and it's like a path, candles path. And I'm looking first expression and my feelings of wow, what's going on? And I'm following this path of candles, and it's going to the balcony. We have a small balcony in our bedroom, and I opened there. He decorated, oh, so romantically, everything in this like a little candles, and a small table there with a small. We don't have a big terrace. Yes, chairs. The small table was decorated nicely with the flowers, with these candles, the nice setup of the glasses and the plates, and this amazing presentation of the. What did you forget? Is it
Foie
from?
gras and
Yeah,
duck, yeah, and duck
it
or
was
foie gras.
amazing. So what I want to say, I just experienced telling about it. I just experienced these feelings again. So thank you very much for this question. You made me also happy. So what I want to say in bottom line, that these small gestures, it doesn't really require a lot of like financial spendings. Yeah, it's even more valuable. That was even for more valuable. So how much effort he put to think about candles, setup, romantic atmosphere, music, and cooked himself. That was really wow for me. So the small things, you're responsible together, you and your partner, or even one of you, to bring the sparkle back. So we do understand routine, kids, etc. But this finding the quality time for each other and doing the spontaneous things, surprises, finding time just sit and asking each other, be curious, yeah, asking the questions of like a deep questions, yeah, not hi Han, how was your day? And then like you're doing something else, yeah, looking at each other's eyes, holding each other. So you should know each other language, yeah. I'm kinesthetic, they calling it. So my love language coming also from touches. So I like when, and Rami is the same. I like when Rami touch me, look into my eyes. So that makes us closer. Yeah, you want to add
Yeah.
something?
No, I think the other thing I would just add that I think is important is basically thinking about the curiosity. Is that when you like Fatima said, ask the deeper questions. Have you lost sight of, for example, understanding if there's something that's new that could be exciting your partner, or something that's changing the vision of the future for your relationship, or is there even fears? And when you think about it, how often would you ask your partner if there's anything that they're fearing, for example? So these kind of questions are important because it is about maintaining that curiosity, because once you lose sight of that, the novelty, desire can all wear off. So it's really important that there's still an importance put to making sure that you're asking those kinds of questions. And again, you're able to share as well, as we said at the beginning, what your expectations are, if there's needs you have, being able to communicate them effectively to your partner, so you get that fulfillment from the reaction or response.
And sometimes remember your inner child. Remember your like how you can be silly with each other, like kids and or teenagers. You know how you can like laugh together, because it's, don't take everything so serious. You know, before Rami likes to tease me. He always teasing me. Before I was so serious and got it like a disrespect or offense. I said, why you talk to me that way? I remember, but now we laugh. I'm laughing at it. I'm laughing at myself. I'm laughing at him. So what he's saying, then, and it's even he likes it. He likes when I laugh at his jokes. Yeah. So every man do that. Yeah. So, so and that brings us more like closer to each other.
But one of the things that's my way, and again, it was because it was something Fatima didn't understand, right? And over the work we did together, ourselves, we got to understand how we each express ourselves in a better way. So she got to understand that my way of communicating love, it's not the only way, but one of the ways is through that teaseful playfulness. So it wasn't where there was, again, a misunderstanding of, am I trying to put her down, or am I mocking her? Am I being sarcastic? I'm being British. Sarcasm comes with the passport, I guess. So it's very natural to be sarcastic in British humor. So, but for her, that was new, right? Again, we come from different cultural backgrounds. So some of even the terminology I use, she's not familiar with, or she can misunderstand or misinterpret what does that mean, and it sounds offensive, but actually it isn't. It's more of a tease. So those kind of things. So yeah. So please hit us with your comments. Do submit your questions. If you can hear us, just send us a heart. We just want to, make sure you're hearing us loud and clear. And we also want to answer your questions. As Fatima said, we already have
But I would like to
questions
see if
that came
our
before.
yeah.
And then any other questions, please add.
I would like to see if our viewers are can hear us, and if it resonates with you, please send us a heart. And I would like to remind you that we're here today to create the safe and open space that you can ask any question about relationship that we can answer. Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's move to
There's a
another
there's
question.
second question. No.
No, we just got a hi here from Sanem
Oh,
David.
we're saying hi back, Sanam. Thank you very much.
So why don't we go to the ones we got? Thanks again to those who sent questions before our live. Why don't we go to one of those questions? So
Yes, we have one question here. So, what's the difference between fighting about something and avoiding talking about something?
that's a very good question, and you know what? It's interesting because it says, what's the difference between fighting about something and avoiding talk about something? What I want to say is they're not mutually exclusive. They can very much go in hand in hand. So it can be that there is a topic, certain topics that end up in fights, in arguments, that eventually become avoided topics, which means you just pushed it under the rug, decided it's not worth, it's too costly to have that conversation because it's resulting in the same outcome, an argument. And in the argument, it could be that either the lines are disrespected, challenged, or that you end up basically shutting down or getting angry, and then it becomes, far from constructive. So the key thing is that, well, firstly, negative communication is very common. It does happen, but it can often fall into the idea of wanting to just bring your point as well over and not willing to listen to your partner, which can result in resentment, and that resentment can increase and bleed into other areas of the relationship. So if you avoid the conversation, it's an undertone of frustration that exists. I think we've never seen couples where they've been able to just ignore a topic and think that they're done with it, they're not willing to engage in it anymore. It's always there. It's just not at the forefront of their conversation. But like I say, it builds resentment. It adds just to avoidance, maybe into other topics if the same reaction is what they see or experience, or concerned with that. And I'm thinking, it's probably good we could talk about one of the examples that we've come across from our clients.
Yes, we have clients. Remember, they were talking about relocation. Every time that we talk about relocation, they would argue because one of the partner would like to move, relocate completely, another doesn't. So, and it ended up that they would avoid to talk about this topic, so to avoid the conflict. And there is, of course, quite some danger of unaddressed conflict, yeah, when we do that, because the couples who avoid talking about any topics, yeah, it's build up the frustration. They emotionally become very distant, and even small matter, even small argue matters, and especially because when it's piling, and then the small trigger, so you will have a bigger fight. The trigger that might not relate to this matter, but because it's piling, that will be a bigger fight. So, and our advice to them was to, it's very good technique, it's very good tool we would like to share with you, so I would like you to encourage you to do that with your partner. So when you individually take one piece of paper, better A4 format, like a bigger one, pen, divide the paper to two sides, and one side you write pros and cons, like benefits and cons. So for example, in their cases, it would be each of them should do that individually, writing the benefits to relocate and the
Cons or
cons
drawbacks
or drawbacks of that. And then we advise them to come back together and take the new clean piece of paper and do it together. So do it together and why we ask them to do that. Yeah, it's invitation to do it in a more constructive way in writing. So first benefits and then the cons, pros and cons. So first time to do it without arguing. And when they bring something and saying, okay, this is the reason, so we would like let's say it's good for kids to study abroad, or no, it's not good for kids to study abroad, and then to bring why. So it's important also to explain each other why, what is behind it, to bring each other opinion and points. And at that moment, when you come to that, do not come like it's a competition. Oh, see, I have a more
bigger list or
exactly,
more
or more
points.
points. Yeah, you're not there to fight. You're not there to score. It's not a battle. So you come to this to understand each other's point, and this is your future, and to plan your future together. And then already you will put it in writing. You will see it. Then you will say, oh yeah, so I see more benefits to stay rather than to go, or vice versa. You both will make this decision. So, and you can apply this technique to a lot of things. Yeah, I apply it for a lot of things before I would like to make any decision or to understand myself. whether that or that. So I do this like the pros and cons, benefits or drawbacks to understand myself. And in writing, you activated your brain, yes? So because our brain accepting the information visually, by writing you send the signals, and then if you even read it loudly, it's also by hearing you send another signal to your brain to make a better decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's important, as Fatima mentioned, is the why. So when you both know that you're going to be able to express why you think a certain point, be it the benefit or the pro and the con or drawback, that will help first that you are able to voice your thoughts or your opinion. Two is that you're able to get more clarity and together, able to achieve that because you're coming from your individual perspective, but the blank sheet that you do jointly helps with that joint perspective, but it also helps with the alignment because it's about agreeing to a certain point. And even if you don't agree, there's a way to respectfully disagree. So it's really helping to reinforce some of these key elements. And the other thing I just want to add to that is when you have the discussion, what we tell our clients is do not respond to the other person with a but. So it's not that you hear they say, well, I think the reason should be, as Fat said, moving for the sake of the kids, it's better for their education. And you say, yeah, but I think whatever, because then you're going to end up in a me versus you situation. And all of our coaching principles are around how do you shift from me versus you to us, to go from this opposing force to working in unity and being really a team that can help, that can work constructively and build a stronger partnership. So ultimately, whenever you have these conversations, and it's really a powerful tool, as Fatima said, is that you have your discussions where you say, I see you, or I hear your point, and I think. So no but, and you can't trick it by going with however or any other word that ultimately means but. Because when you say but, it means you're not actually listening and you're more well prepared to respond
The
rather than
opponent immediately accepted, oh yeah, didn't agree with me. Yeah.
exactly. And what's going to happen? They'll probably shut down, think there's no point me expressing, I'm just meeting with resistance. So very important, whatever points you put, pros and cons, have the discussion together, acknowledge respectfully each other. I hear you and I think this or that. Or I see you or I feel you, depending, as we said, some people are more think, visual or auditory or kinetic. So it depends on that.
And it also applies not only in relationship, like for couples. That trick applies when you talk to clients, when you talk to anyone, your kids, or anyone you want to have the influence. Yeah, you want the person to hear you out, to agree with you. So these techniques are very powerful. Try it and let us know if it worked. And also, I would like to add, yeah, in terms of like we talked about that, this is that's the point that brings what happens, yeah, if you avoid the conflict topic to talk about topics that you're afraid that it will bring to the conflict. So and we talked about some solutions. But when you and one of our advice is to resolve it as soon as possible, promptly, to come to it respectfully, seeking for understanding, not like doing like me versus you. You're not at the battle. And another thing that I think we mentioned it the last time, but I really like it, and I will always use it with Rami, with each other, and recommend to our clients. When you talk, do not point like, oh, you because you did like that, or you did like blaming, because as soon as you blame someone, the reaction immediately will be defensiveness.
Yeah.
The person will shut off, close off, shut down, whatever it is, you will not get anything from that. But the moment you start expressing your feelings, and I said, when you do that, I feel that. When you act like that, I feel that. Or better, I feel like that when you do that. Yeah, I feel like that. It's when you, etc. So then focus on your feelings rather than on blaming your partner, and that helps a lot to open up and also helps to have empathy, yeah, of your partner to you, and inviting your partner to the conversation and feel your feelings, right? And what I wanted
So I
to,
just want to ask the audience: is there? Do you find yourself ever
I wanted to
avoiding
ask the
certain
same.
topics? So drop us your comment. Just curious, and please drop us a heart if we're resonating with you on what we're sharing back here.
Or write us one in the comments if you are avoiding the topics because you're scared of, like, you have fear of that would cause a conflict. Drop in comment number one, so we can see is there that how many of you avoiding topics. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well,
Seems
we
no
see
one.
that.
Seems nobody. Yeah. We have already the audience already knows how to do that, which is very good.
So we have here a question. When is the last time you felt truly seen and understood by your partner, and what does that look like for you?
That's really good one. Yeah, because
This is
the
obviously, I think, talking about, the examples about emotional distance, how couples drift
yeah,
into becoming roommates. That's something very common we hear, and probably you've seen as well content around that couples basically reduce in terms of their engagement, communicating on certain topics, being able to express themselves proactively, affection, quality time. I think we often assume we have, a lot of time, but if you really whittle it down, when you look at all the demands on you as individuals as well as partners, especially if you have children, family, etc., that can really kill having quality time. So having time, this concept of basically being in the room together, but you're feeling lonely, that's something that is very common because no one's really present within their time. So there's time together, but you're lacking the quality. So ensuring there's quality time is something that often is lacking in relationships.
that's true. And I have a question to you. So I received this question from a lot of females. Well, I don't want it to relate it like a gender question, but it is. Sorry for that. So, because a lot of women asking me, so why man have these difficulties to acknowledge our emotions? So whenever we we talk and we say, for example, I'm hurt, or explaining their like feelings or something like it's during my argument, etc. Even if man, there is a like obvious situation, yeah, that he knows that okay, here he could do better, or not necessarily if he's wrong or right, yeah, the acknowledgement of the feelings to say I understand why you feel like that, or I understand what it matters to you. So, and why I'm asking you, because we did that experience before with you, but then you, and, not but, and I'm learning, see, and you changed. You're becoming more and more better in terms of acknowledgement, my feelings. What, and what stage and what helped you to shift, and maybe you can also explain.
Sure.
So there's two questions, sorry, I don't want to confuse you. One, why men do feel like that? Is it ego, pride?
So there's definitely an element, I think, of ego, but that goes on both sides. It's not about male or female. I think what's different is men, how we express ourselves. It's very what we say is what we mean, right? Generally speaking. And you probably have answered the question the best way with the guide that has been created. So Fatima led the inspiration of this guide that we will be sharing. It will be available. So do look at our website, send us a message requesting guide, and we'll send it to you in due course. We're just finalizing it. where the difference was that situations that happened were not so much about it came from a point of trying to either prove my point or defend myself based on what you was expressing. But what I didn't understand at the time is what you were expressing in terms of the words beneath what you're actually saying are different. So I never connected what the reaction I received was actually trying to tell me. And through better understanding of that, which again, the guide covers it much more comprehensively than I'm speaking about it now, is that when I understand, okay, your frustration. So, for example, one of the classic examples we'll say is oh, for a female, when she may react, say, I hate you to her partner. Hate is a strong word, right? But it doesn't actually mean that she does hate. It's a moment within whatever episode is happening is what that emotion feels like. But what is underneath it is Fatima trying to say, you've hurt me. And she's not able to verbalize that in that moment. So the reaction is, I hate you, not you've hurt me. But when, as a guy, you hear that, you may think, gosh, if I'd only say hate if I really meant it, right? So again, that's the difference in terms of communication coming from the different gender perspectives. But ultimately, it's through that better understanding of what's beneath what's being said, helped bridge the gap for us to really understand when we face conflict, how we can very quickly overcome that conflict. So in terms of the question of really being truly seen and understood by the partner, it's through having that dialogue. It's through having the honest conversations. It's an element of what Fatima shared earlier as well, is that when you say or do this, I feel that. And so once there was a shift in that understanding, so it's no longer about me defending myself, it's more of me understanding, well, what is she actually suffering with, or what is her need at this moment. Then through that reaction, it helped dissolve the situation. It didn't become a defense, me versus you, that then escalated to a whole other level. But there's of course more around it than just that, but that's obviously a key major shift that happened within our communication and being seen and heard from both
I
perspectives.
think someone else is seeking for attention.
Yeah.
She was bored and came to us, yeah, asking for
This is
love.
Coco.
So we acknowledge your feelings, don't worry. But I think what also important and helped us in our relationship, that when, yeah, you want to go. When we started to check more on each other in terms of how we're doing,
Yeah.
more about your feelings. Or I really liked when you asked me, what is this? What can I do? What do you need from me right now?
Mm-hmm.
I really that it was like you're seeking for, like you're offering your help, because it's very often, yeah, that we think that we're helping our partner, we're supporting, but it's our way, and that might be not what they need at that moment. And asking me, what do you need me to do right now that help me? So actually, that, for example, feet massage would be nice. It's a small thing, yeah. So it can be, of course, more like I need to vent, or I don't know, I need that or that. But foot massage, I like as well. So I think it helps a lot. Yeah. So I think this is very important to ask each other. So ask this question more often each other. So um, be curious, yeah, as we're repeating ourselves. Be curious of your partner needs. Be curious of your partner inner world, because this emotional connection helps them to put the defensiveness and blaming aside and come back together, come and meet on this emotional close, intimate emotional closeness. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So
and I think just the other example that came to mind is when there would be situations of tension, and I don't feel I'm in the right mental space to tackle the conversation. It's actually sometimes it's me assuming Fatima would want to talk about it, but ultimately, again, through the idea of, well, what do you need? And Fatima is saying, well, actually, in that moment, I just need a hug. I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to fix anything. Sometimes I just need a hug. So she's needing the reassurance to know, okay, I'm not, turning my back on her. I'm not ignoring her needs. And sometimes that's what is important, because when you understand that, again, it's the ability to overcome any ego and be able to take those actions. And it's not easy. So what we're sharing didn't happen overnight. We went through a lot of tough periods, as you may know from our story, and if you've seen our website, it has our full story individually and together. We had an amazing. I think the first year of our relationship was literally a fairy tale in terms of every aspect of it, the amount of activities, the amount of adventure, the amount of everything that we did. We probably packed, I'd say, 5 years into 1 year. And where it went after that, you would never have expected, to go from such a high to get to the brink of divorce, to sleeping separately, and then rebuilding block by block a relationship that not only was stronger than the beginning, it's the strongest relationship we've ever experienced. So it's really, thank you for the heart. Appreciate that. Please drop us your questions. If anything comes up, drop us your heart. If what we're saying as
Write
well is
your
resonating
question in comments so we
with
can
you.
reply.
So thank
Yeah.
you so much. I'm seeing some hearts here, so I appreciate that. But yeah, so what we're saying, it doesn't, happen overnight. It's taken work, it's taken time, but it's the small steps. And we see it, something I think is important we share is that even sometimes, we're working on one partner, but that one partner, by adopting what they're learning from their self-discovery and from the learnings that we can share with them and guide them with, that they start reacting differently to their partner, and suddenly their partner is thinking, hey, this isn't what I'm used to. So it's a start of breaking the pattern, and that's ultimately what's needed to just open the door and then help enhance the interaction, the engagement, the connection with the partner. So it's not necessarily that two have to work on it from day one. Yes, it ultimately takes two to tango, but from the beginning, one partner just making that minor change, a different gesture to how they normally react, can really start to shift the dynamics. So that's something that we also like to highlight as well.
And I also think it's very important. Think about that. It's one small thing that your partner does that makes you to feel loved. So think about it. Yeah, reflect on it. If you would like to share here, please do. If you don't, remind it to your partner. So when you do that, I really feel loved. When you massage my feet, I really feel loved. Yeah.
So,
So that was my hint.
but also, I'd add to that even the idea of being seen or being heard. Often in relationships, and what we come across and what we experience is feeling misunderstood. That was one of my biggest challenges with Fatima, is I felt always misunderstood, to the point that the shutdown or the lack of then engaging in a conversation, or even engaging in what could be an argument, is purely because I thought, well, what's the point? She's not going to get me anyway, right? So again, that silence is very dangerous. That's why we ended up in the situation we ended up in, till we managed to turn our lives and our partnership around together.
So we have a next question. I would like to check here in comments so we don't have any new questions here. Yeah. And so we will respond the next question sent to us by our lovely viewers. How do you rebuild trust after it's been broken? It's actually possible, and what does that journey look like? Okay, so you want now tell me you want a long dramatic story? or the short version.
Well, one question we just connected to that we get is people often ask, can you rebuild trust? And we say, yes, you can, but it's not easy. And it does need the commitment of both partners. So if it's just the idea of you're trying to give a chance to trust because you have a fear of abandonment or fear of loss, it's not going to work. It's got to be with a commitment that you wanting a future with the person. You are going to give them the opportunity to rebuild that. We'll talk about an example. I think Fatima probably would share one that we've experienced. It depends on the nature of that breach of trust. I think I'd say probably the first thing people think about is infidelity. But breaking trust isn't necessarily infidelity. I mean, that's an extreme end of breaking trust. But thinking about even smaller things can actually be a breach of trust. And that can start to jeopardize the security and safety of the relationship and can also require a lot of work to rebuild. So it's not just this idea of, okay, by cheating on my partner means I broke the trust, or it was a major lie that I had, or a secret of, I don't know, debts, etc., that I never shared with her and or with him, and now I've got major debts. So just keep in mind that when we think about it and reflect yourself, it could be a very small example that maybe you've experienced. Share with us in the comments if you've experienced that. Either you've been the cause of it or on the receiving end.
Yeah, I would like to share one example that happened, like I could say it's just like not too time along, like after the marriage, like I don't know, like a year later, maybe half a year. I don't remember exactly, yeah, but I remember it wasn't too. It was fresh in our marriage, and that Rami met his friend, and usually in the evening, female friend. Usually in the evening we're sharing, so where we've been, what we were doing, and Rami mentioned that, yeah, he met his friend and she came from UK and she needed some advice, yeah, and they met in a mall and they talked and that's it. And he sent the information that she needed. I don't know. I think the old woman, they have a seventh sense. I don't know from where this feeling came. I just felt that, and I asked, who is that? Like asking questions, and then I asked him that, is it someone? You had some relationships before, or like maybe some attraction? Because I've never heard about this person, yeah. And so, oh no, what are you talking about? No, no, there's nothing. Just an old friend. I said, okay. So, and how it came up later that it wasn't just a friend, it was a person who Rami used to date before he met me. And well, they end up
A long time
long
before.
time before. They end up
I sound
relation.
like I'm justifying, I know, but
Yeah.
I'll add to that in a
No, long
moment.
time before. And they, for a long time, they didn't talk. For a long time, they were not in contact. And then when she came, she offered to meet and they met. And there is nothing wrong in that. But for me, the moment that when I asked him and he didn't tell me the truth, that broke the trust. That moment, I felt betrayed. And I couldn't understand. So why wouldn't you just tell me that it's something from the past, it's something that you know, you knew, we had relations, she needed a help. And I know Rami by nature, he's would help anyone, the strangers even. That if someone asked a help, he would not say no. Why wouldn't you just tell me the truth? And and of course, you know, the overthinking, and of course, like the hundreds of different ideas and things came, and it was ugly. It was a big, big fight that you hide it. You didn't tell me the truth for the reason. And there wasn't a reason, but it was a fight because of Ram wasn't completely transparent. And we had the conversation, and he told me that he was wrong and it will not happen again. But you know what's interesting? These words were not enough for me. I accepted the word, so of course it was all good. We went back because nothing big happened. Yeah, but I also asked him, "This is the last time because this was a lie. You lied to me." So big lie, small lie doesn't matter. So it this like not being completely honest broke the trust. So I ask you to be completely honest and transparent with me, and he said yeah. So and of course the same he expecting from me. But what happened? And 2 3 days later, there was something that triggered another argue, and something that wasn't even worth it, but it was like some like more jealousy from me. And I explained why. Because where it is good, you're giving a promise, you like give a commitment to each other, but only constant showing up and actions helps to calm down your partner nervous system to rebuild the trust again. And thanks God that Rami is a smart and clever man and he already worked on himself. I wouldn't even ask him, but he would tell me where he is, not because of controlling, no, but because he knew that I need it already. Yeah, that's where he is, with whom he is. If there was like some like female will call, he will tell me, oh, who called, and it was naturally, and that helped me slowly to rebuild trust again. So I didn't even need that later. This all affirmations and reporting to me. Yeah, though Rami did it not because I asked him to do that. So the whole point that I will try to summarize. Yeah, yes, the trust was broken because Rami wasn't completely honest to me. But what helped to rebuild it? First, the honest conversation, acceptance, not defending himself that nothing happened, I didn't do anything wrong, so I cannot go and meet a friend. Da, da, da. No, acceptance that he was wrong. And after that, like of course promise that we will both be completely honest and transparent in front of each other, and consistency, that's important in actions, because if you say something and then you do it again, to rebuild trust, like might be second third time, after third time it will be very difficult, it will be so broken. Without someone like like more experts help, I doubt it can be repaired. That's why the consistency in actions and giving this affirmation, reassurance to your partner is very important. Not to feel that, oh, it's controlling, I'm so innocent, I didn't do anything wrong. No, but to help your partner to repair, to recover from the break and bring this trust back again.
And you know, on being the cause of that, it's very hard, especially for a man, and especially when integrity is a core value. So, just to give context as well to our viewers, that because someone asked me for help, and because I also carried the guilt in terms of how I put expectations with that person at a time I wasn't healed. It was after my second divorce, and I wasn't ready for a relationship. But then obviously that an expectation that we're gonna, be dating and get to know each other, and I very quickly ended that situation. It was a guilt that I carried, and because of that guilt, somewhere that I carried, it was a case of when that person asked me for something, it was very hard for me to say, well, actually, you know what, I can't do it. So in all honesty, I knew going was wrong, but I gave in to my guilt, and I gave in to that to try and help and address what her need was. And you know, there's a scenario, it's a paradox you can fall into where you feel, I'm damned if I do say, or I'm damned if I don't. And I used to live that dilemma in that part of our relationship, that I felt with Fatima, if I say, it's just going to create issues. There's no point, because I know I'm not doing anything deceitful. I'm not meeting the woman because I have still, emotional connection to her, or I'm curious about her. There was absolutely zero emotion. It was driven by my feeling of guilt for maybe letting that person down. They've asked for help. I'm trying to just do good, maybe see good with them, but ultimately, it cost the fact that I breached the trust with Fatima, and it took me time and effort to rebuild it. And because of our egos, it's very hard at times to feel like you're under scrutiny until you build that. But that's the acceptance you have to take on your shoulders, and that's the acknowledgement of the situation you've created, that has to be, given that acknowledgement. So through that experience, of course, it ended up being that it took time, and it didn't take weeks, it took months of the reassurance. And I don't mean it in a way where Fatima jokes about this, like reporting. It's not, because I can't do that. I'm trying to be genuine and be myself, right? In a relationship, I can't put this act on or try to behave in a way that doesn't feel congruent to how I am. So it's more of just sharing what you've got planned, meetings you've got, etc., and just trying to address that exact area where you breached, in giving the reassurance. But as she said, consistently and over time, it can heal, and you get beyond that, where trust doesn't become an issue in that same realm.
Yeah, and I also think that no, there could be the moment that you said dilemma, yeah. That to ask yourself, yeah. So say or not to be or not to be, that's the question, yeah. So if I won't say and it come up later, so what are the costs, yeah, it will have me? Because I always telling Rami, we can argue, of course. If you would tell me, I might not like it that you are meeting X, yeah, because we had agreement before that no exes in our life, so we left them behind. So I might not be happy and telling you that we agreed, so why you meeting this person, etc. However, the trust wouldn't be broken. Yeah, so however, it would be just like, okay, the argue that I can like overnight go through it. But when trust is broken, yeah, and when I knew that, so he not only didn't tell me, but when I asked, he wasn't completely honest with me. So that took a long time to rebuild the trust. So that's why what is our advice based on our own experience and what we're asking the couples to be honest and transparent with each other and be comfortable to have uncomfortable conversations. So that helps you to be emotionally naked in front of each other. And that's very important. When you reach this moment, this point, when you can have uncomfortable conversation with each other, that's the highest level of your emotional connection. And I'm happy that we managed it. So we for a long time already at the stage, but we were not there at the beginning.
No, of
For
course.
a long time, we had the stage with Rami that we can have uncomfortable conversations. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for this question. So I'm cautious about time because I think we already reached
Yeah.
our
Almost the
one
end.
hour. Yeah, almost the end. So the time passed so quickly. So I'm really always enjoying, guys, answering your questions. Please feel free to send our comments, messages. You can do it in Instagram or in our website or here in YouTube or in YouTube section. And this little Coco wants more attention and doesn't want us to continue here. So sorry for that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so please, if you do, as Fatima mentioned, feel free DM us. We do a free 30-minute shift session. So if you want to explore more about what's going on for you, how we can support you in that journey, let us know. You can book that directly off our website. It's a Zoom call, and we give a free session. It's not a pitch. We tell you what we can do, how we can work with you, and it's your choice. If that's something you'd want to take on further, we invite you to, at least have the dialogue with us to get to share what's going on in your world and how we can support you in your journey. Please subscribe and follow. We put out content throughout the week. Again, hot topics again from our experience, things we've gone through, things we've resolved, how we've resolved them. So a lot of value to be had from our content. That's our objective, is to really share that with our audience. And if you have any requests for topics, do send us a direct message either through Instagram or through our website. And if you have an interest for the guide that will help you to understand what's beneath the words of your partner or your own words, what are you trying to say that you're not saying? Our guide will be ready soon, and we can follow up by sending that to you.
And if you want to know more about us, please check our website, coupleshift.net, so where you can see all information about us. And I would like to thank you again for showing up today here with us. And your relationship is really worth investing in your time. And we see you next Thursday. Thank
See you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.